Hello and welcome to another episode of Engineering and Engineer. In today's episode, we delve into the vital field of civil engineering. We're thrilled to have Preston Rich with us, a seasoned civil engineer who has significantly impacted numerous projects across the country. Get ready to explore the foundations that shape our daily lives, from bridges to dams. Let's get started and uncover the world of civil engineering. Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on, Preston.
No worries. Could you start by telling me about your job and what you do?
Yeah, so currently I am a geotechnical engineer, which is a subset of civil engineering, and project manager. I currently work for Stantec Consulting, and we're a large international firm, and my specific group works on dams for mining projects and for water storage in the American West.
Nice. Yeah. I've seen that Stantec is trying to do some environmental stuff, dams and everything. Can you tell me more about that?
Stantec is pretty massive, is the best word I can think of to describe it. I think Stantec has somewhere around 50 to 55,000 employees worldwide, with offices, I would say, in most major cities across the world. I'd have to look at a map to actually prove that, but we're in a lot of countries. We're a Canadian-based company, but we're pretty large. And then one of the things with our company is we do a lot of stuff. So you might find firms that are a little bit smaller, focused specifically in engineering, but large multinational firms like Stantec, we have interior decorators on staff, we have architects, we have historical resource folks. I mean, we just have people who do all kinds of different tasks. And as a consultant, what our company does is our client will hire us for our expertise and we'll help them out with whatever they need. Yeah, that's a relatively common business model for a lot of professionals.
Yeah. So you've been doing civil engineering for a long time now. How did you get into civil engineering?
Yeah, so I've been in civil engineering for about 7 or 8 years now. Or growing up, I was really interested in it. I used to, I remember being in elementary school, and I was pretty good at math, and I liked Legos. And I think when I was in Boy Scouts, one of my things to get a merit badge was I needed to talk with a certain number of people about what they did for work. When I was talking with them, I remember people being like, "Oh, well, you like math, maybe you should be an engineer." I was like, "Oh, that sounds good." And I just kind of had that stuck in my mind for a really long time. And I wasn't really familiar with the number of subsets of engineering that there are.
Yeah.
But I knew someone has to design in buildings. And I thought, civil engineering seems cool. I really liked the idea that you have a tangible product at the end of your project life. So getting to actually see something was really compelling to me. And I remember I ended up going to the Colorado School of Mines, which is a smaller engineering school, a little bit west of Denver. And it only has engineers, and they were building a new structure there. And there's this really cool glass enclosed part of a building that had these huge columns that had a large cantilever section, so that went out horizontally from the vertical section that the roof was supported by. And I remember walking past it when I was a freshman or a sophomore in college and thinking, wow, that's pretty cool. And I could see myself being interested in helping build structures like that for a career. So as I was getting exposed to more engineering disciplines in college, I still felt like civil was something that I was really interested in. And for me, a little bit of that changed. So I was a member of our student American Society of Civil Engineers chapter, which is a professional society that has student chapters at most universities that offer civil engineering programs. And you get to go on tours of different facilities, and you get to ask professionals what they're about, what their job is like. And I was talking with a guy during one of those, and he was at a design firm, and he showed me I was like, "Hey, what are you working on, man?" And he was working on wooden posts for, I can't remember whether it was telephone lines or power lines, but either small voltage power lines or telephone poles. And he was reviewing the structural design of these wooden poles being embedded in the ground for hundreds and hundreds of miles. And I was like, wow, man, this seems is this something that you do all the time? And he's like, Yeah, man. I mean, we just signed a contract with this client to do this kind of work for another 5 years. And for me, it didn't seem like there was a whole lot of engineering or design in that little segment. And I knew I wasn't interested in necessarily looking at the same pole or a similar pole for hundreds and hundreds of miles. So I actually kind of switched up my direction from design and civil engineering into more construction management, which is another subset of civil engineering.
Yeah.
Kind of started focusing on that. And I had an internship between my sophomore and junior year, and went out in the field and actually got to spend a summer with a local construction firm as they were upgrading a facility. I really enjoyed that a lot, like being out there, and I got to ask a ton of people a lot of questions, got a lot of practical knowledge on how things are constructed in the field. And I'd highly recommend to not just people in engineering. I mean, when you go to school, definitely look for opportunities for internships, because they can let you you get a summer where you get to try out what you would be doing for the rest of your life. And you get the opportunity to ask questions in a longer format to your coworkers while you're an intern that you don't get to ask during an interview, and you get to see a little bit more of the day to day. And even though I really liked my coworkers during that internship, and I liked the work that we were doing, and I realized talking with those guys, they usually work 5 to 6 days a week, like 10 to 12-hour days pretty consistently. And then every 3 months to 2 years, depending on the size of project, they'll switch projects. So it wasn't uncommon for those guys to have a home somewhere. And then, they might travel as little as 30 minutes, or they might travel for as much as an hour and a half to get to whatever job site that they're actually building right then, to actually do the construction management on site. And there's some folks who make a career out of kind of moving close to a project site, living there until the project's done, and then moving on to another area. And I didn't think that was for me. I think I wanted to have a little bit more of a stable career where I got to actually pick a place that I lived and get to see my family. So I kind of veered out of that. And I actually had a friend who was in the geological engineering program at the Colorado School of Mines. And one of the things that they get to do, or they get to do, was a field session for 6 weeks where you essentially go camping and you map a lot of geologic formations. I thought that sounded pretty cool. Really liked being outside. The whole idea of like doing engineering, but also getting to be outside a lot was really appealing to me. So I kind of switched my focus into geological engineering. At that time, I didn't quite understand how interconnected civil and geological engineering are, but went into that program and really, really liked it, and was originally planning on using my degree to go into either oil and gas or mining. But when I graduated, there wasn't a lot of jobs. Oil was at a pretty low, and there wasn't a whole lot of hiring going on, and mining was also at a low. So fortunately, I was able to take a lot of my experience in all of my schoolwork, and I was able to kind of morph it into civil engineering, or kind of back into civil engineering, and ended up working as a geotechnical engineer for a firm called Terracon, and got a lot of experience actually doing drilling.
That wraps up today's enlightening conversation with Preston Rich on the essentials of civil engineering. Thank you for joining us and gaining a deeper appreciation for the engineering feats that make up our infrastructure. Make sure to tune in next time for more insights into the engineering world on Engineering and Engineer. Until then, keep building your curiosity and expanding your knowledge.